I've been struggling the past few years to build the best setup for making YouTube videos. After these couple months, I believe I built the best all-in-one YouTube setup. We've got different parts to this setup that help solve different obstacles to producing videos in a quicker and easier fashion. I'll be walking through each one so that you too can spend less time setting up and have more time creating what matters. From A-roll to B-roll to top-down shots, I'm sharing with you the secrets to an imperfect yet functional desk setup that'll not just save you time,
plus space.
One of the first things to address about the setup is location and lighting. Shooting by the window can get you pretty far until you run out of that light. As a full-time nurse, I don't got much light left to work with when my shift is done. So on my desk, I use an impact super clamp to bring a light on the side and utilize a grip arm to extend and lock it all in place. For the light itself, I'm using an Aputure Amaran 60X. The 60D is more than sufficient, by the way, if you plan on getting that. Attached to that is a 35-inch softbox to diffuse the light and a honeycomb grid to shape it. By the way, my desk is not traditional because it folds and doesn't hold these kinds of clamps at all. So I had to buy some wood from Home Depot to be able to make it work. The clamps on the side are just to secure the wood to the table. Not pretty, but it works. Plus, no light stands on my floor. Since I'm not going for a dramatic look, I tried to film this side of my face with a reflector. I use an extension pole and attach different clamps at each end. One clamp is mounted to the desk, and the other holds a 24-inch 5-in-1 reflector that has the shiny side pointed at me. Just gonna point the reflector right on the side of my face, just like so. Subtle, but we have now successfully bounced the light to fill this side of my face. To have a more consistent look at my videos and consistent location for shooting them, I decided to use a backdrop and to place it on the only unoccupied wall, the one with the window. The only two light stands in the studio space are folded up and zip tied to my blinds while holding a backdrop pole. To give myself a little more definition, I used another extension pole with a ball head to mount a tube light from Welight. At the other end, I attached a rapid adapter and placed it at the end of one of the light stands holding the backdrop. To keep the power going, I used a long USB-C cable plugged into a power brick from an extension cord. Yeah, it's extra, but also saves me time from charging batteries. I never take it down. This ensures my picture and sound quality are acceptable. After we establish the lights and location, what are we going to do about the camera and the sound? Thanks to Caleb Pike for this idea, we're going to use an articulating monitor arm and mount it to the wood part of the desk. Next, we're going to use a 1/4-inch 20 screw to then mount a ball head, use a washer to help with the loosening. Then in this case, we'll use an Arca Swiss locking plate for our camera for later. Depending on your camera and lens setup, your height may vary. For me, I'm often using my Sony FX30 with the Tokina 11-18 f2.8 with the 10% Cinebloom filter from Moment to bloom my highlights. This lens is an ultra-wide lens, and I found that I much prefer to have the camera a little lower than my head height when sitting. This will be for our A-roll shot or our talking head. Then to make the editing process smoother and to help avoid missing any points I want to talk about, I use a teleprompter from DesView and mount that to the front of my lens with a filter. To help with our framing, I've also clamped a monitor with an articulating arm at the bottom of the main articulating arm for the camera. I often use this to review my test shots before recording. For audio, we could mount an external microphone on top of the FX30, but since I'm using the top handle, I decided that I'm going to use a shotgun microphone that uses an XLR and just thread this through to the overhead and right to the camera into the top handle. But first, we'll take a look at our overhead rig. As you see, we have it mounted to the wood and we're able to adjust it so it remains out of frame, but it's still close enough to be aligned with the center of the camera lens for our A-roll. So if we have a second camera for our multi-camera edit, we can mount it here and it'll look centered. If we only have one camera, then we could just move our main camera to this position for vertical videos like for unboxing, boxings, or any interesting top-down shots. To make the most of our overhead setup, we can mount our shotgun microphone here by using an articulating arm attached to a super clamp like so. Then just feed the rest of the wire along the overhead rig and prevent any dangling in our shot by using bongo ties. This can lead all the way to the FX30 with the wire hooks alongside the articulating arm. Boom, that's it. Another way that I use this overhead rig is to attach another articulating arm for an overhead light for various kinds of shots, whether for photos or videos. Use whatever light you'd like. Could be as small as an Aputure MC or a panel like the Aputure AL-F7. Just look at this though. Whatever light I attach here, I won't be attaching a battery. Instead, I'll be powering all my gadgets here with power cables and USB-C cables with a power strip. And whatever power bricks, extra wires, and accessories will be secured with wire baskets, zip ties, bongo ties, and Velcro straps. The most important thing to consider before adding more desks, stands, and other additions to your studio, it's going to be the wheels. Less lifting and more mobility. On this foldable desk, I drilled holes in the legs to be able to accommodate a screw that would hold in place 3 wheel dollies. I had to use a washer and bolt of course to keep it from loosening and added a tennis ball for safety. Overall, our setup shouldn't tilt over or anything, but just in case we can always throw some sandbags somewhere down below. Now just add your own furniture and extras in the back and we're complete. $1,000 plus later. Check out this setup in action in my videos over here and sub for more. Thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya.